Hello everyone, and welcome to this video on the top 5 features in NAV 2017. Strangely, for a video on the top 5 features of NAV, we're not even going to start this video in NAV. So, jumping over to Outlook, Outlook integration has now been added to NAV out of the box. So when you open Outlook, you get these Contact Insights button and New button in this little section of Outlook. So if we've had an email from somebody like a customer or a vendor, we can quickly create a document in NAV without leaving Outlook. So in this example, we had an email from a customer who has said, could I please have a quote for 5 Paris chairs? So from here, I can press new and say new sales quote. But from here, you can see the documents you can create directly from Outlook and without having to go back into NAV. You can create a sales quote, an invoice, an order, and a credit memo, and the same thing on the purchase side of the document as well. So if we selected sales quote, this section opens up on the right hand side, and this is making that connection live into our NAV 2017 solution now. As the email address here is not associated with a contact in our database, I can just press the search button and quickly find the contact that we're working with. Otherwise, it would directly open up this page here, which is the sales quote. And now this sales quote has now been inserted into our system and we're working on it live. You can press the pop out button, which will open a new page here, which we can just make a little bit bigger. So as I've got my quote right in front of me, I can say it's for an item, and I can quickly say it's for Paris, and by entering that and typing out, NAV will find the item. I can then say it is for 5 of those chairs, and now without leaving Outlook and going back into NAV and toggling between the two, we have now inserted that sales quote into the system. We've got access to all the same functionality here as well. So by pressing this button, we can make it an order, send it to email, send it for approval, etc. And by closing this page and then going back into this one on the right hand side, that's going to refresh with the change we've just made by putting our line on there. And now that sales quote exists in the system. Another example of the Outlook integration in NAV 2017 is around the document links. So in this case, we've had another email and someone has asked about sales quote 1005. And if we wanted to check what sales quote 1005 was, we don't have to jump back into NAV and go to the sales quote list and filter that out. We can just press this document link button here. And now we can compare the two. We compare what the customer thinks it is and what we think it is. So again, saving that time of switching between applications. As soon as NAV identifies the document type, whether it's sales quote, sales order, purchase quote, purchase order, etc., and then the number of it, it will then insert this document link button here for us to press. Lastly, there's also the Contact Insights button as well. By pressing this, we can view the contact record that is linked to this email address. And here we can see, using the Enhanced Nav functionality from the Nav people, any attachments like contracts that have been assigned or attached to this vendor. We can see their picture, we can see their balance, and all this information that we have in NAV, we can just see from this little Contact Insights tab in Outlook now. We can also see that they've got one order open, so we could go to that, drill into that order, etc. But all the information we need is at our fingertips. So that was the first feature I wanted to show. And now jumping back into NAV 2017, one of the nicest additions is the changes to the user interface that Microsoft have been making and they've made the entire application a lot simpler to use by hiding fields, by hiding actions, so it's a lot cleaner and the pages are a lot simpler for users. For example, if I just go into an item card in the Windows client, this is what the standard NAV 2017 item card looks like. So a lot of fields have been hidden. They've just been set as additional, where they can be found by pressing this button here. A lot of the buttons have been moved as well, and some have been removed. And if I show this in contrast to a standard 2016 item card, the contrast between the two is fairly drastic. So Microsoft have spent a lot of time going through a lot of pages in the system, and by removing fields, making some set to additional, by changing some actions and removing some buttons. So the whole experience for users using the application should be a lot more straightforward and a lot better now. Microsoft have also spent a lot of time doing additional changes like this. So by going into the web client, there's now this brick view. So we can view all of the items by taking advantage of the pictures we have on them. So being optimized for tablets and phone clients and web clients, we can now view these in the different layouts so we can quickly find the item that we're looking for. Item attributes have also been added in NAV 2017, and these attributes allow you yourself to add additional information to your item record without the need for a developer. So you don't have to add this to the item table, and therefore it has no effect on the item table either. So if I want to add an additional piece of information to an item, I can press this attributes button here, and there are some out-of-the-box ones as well. So for example, I can go into attributes and say I'd like to say this item has a color of red, and then press OK. And now that value has been associated to that item. If I wanted to find all of my red items, I could press filter by attributes, and I can say return me those that have a color of red. And there we go. I can of course clear them out to go backwards as well. To add your own attributes to the system, I can go back to attributes, and in this list here, I can press the new button. For example, I can call my new attribute brand. An attribute can either be text, so a user will have to type into it. It can be an option where then you can specify a list of values your users will select from, or it can be a decimal or integer amount. If this was an option, I can then go into my values and press new. I can say what my brands are, and then press OK to go back. And now I can select my newly created attribute from the list, brand, and it has a value of this. And there you have it. I can of course then filter my items by my newly created attribute. So you can see how simple it is to create these attributes. It's worthwhile bearing in mind that these attributes have only been added to the item table. So at the moment you can't do these for customers, for contacts, for vendors, etc. But from the enhanced nav solution from the nav people, you can add these enhanced fields against any record in the system without modifying the core functionality. So then you can store your own additional pieces of information to those additional tables. Going back to the Role Center, another thing Microsoft have added in the latest version of the product are what they call assisted setups. And by accessing them from the Role Center, Microsoft help you do the things you don't often do, so you might forget them. And they provide nice wizards and instructions on how to set things up in the system. For example, how to migrate business data from Excel, from QuickBooks into NAV. We can see which setups we have not completed and which ones we have by the completed field. So if I wanted to carry this one out, I can press Migrate Business Data and step through this setup. In this case, it's going to help us import our data from Excel into NAV by giving us a template we can download, by filling out that template, and then by pressing Next, we can then import that template to bring this data into NAV. There are additional assisted setups as well, for example, setting up email, by setting up CRM, and by setting up approval workflows. So if you wanted to do any of that, these assisted setups have been put into place to guide a user through a process. Finally, Microsoft have also added notifications into the system as well. And these are messages that are provided to users in a non-intrusive way, so that they are notified about something in the system as something happens. For example, if I went to a sales order and created a new one, you see that little blue bar has just appeared, and this is a notification. So you may not have seen this before. So this is just notifying the user that this customer has an overdue balance and that their credit limit, which is set on the customer card, has been exceeded. So it's a non-intrusive way, and it's not stopping the user from doing anything. It's not an error message. It's just a notification that then they can view the details and view the information about this. There are some out-of-the-box notifications for, in this case, the credit limit one, which one we can then dismiss. There are ones for when items are put onto documents where you don't have enough quantity, a notification will appear. And notifications can also be turned off by pressing the My Notifications page and going to that page. And by going to the My Notifications page, these are all of the standard out-of-the-box notifications that you can turn on or off and apply your own conditions to them. So, for example, if you didn't want to be notified when the customer has exceeded their credit limits, we can just untick that to disable the notification in my case. So this has disabled it for myself. Otherwise, we can go to the notification settings page and do this for everybody. So that they were just a few of the new additions to NAV 2017. Expect to see more videos like this in the future. If you'd like to have a play with NAV 2017, feel free to go to our website and the Get a Free Trial button, where you can use our NAV on Demand system to have your own NAV 2017 demo system spun up that you can play with. Otherwise, thank you very much, and we will see you next time.